Welcome to ZKast, everyone. I'm ZS Caraval from ZK Research. I'm here in Napa Valley at the RingCentral Analyst event. I'm with Craig Durr from the Collab Collective. Craig, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
And I'm also here with Melanie Brue from More Insights. Mel?
More Insights and Strategy.
Yeah. Had a good time with the event?
Yes, great.
Yeah. So it was a pretty good event, I thought, right? It's Ring's first analyst event in about a year, so they gave us a good update on where they are. Strategy-wise, product-wise, just any initial thoughts, Craig?
Yeah, I came here to learn a lot about CX and our CX story, and the fact that they just released some AI-specific feature sets. So I think they're moving forward. Now, I think if you look in market, what they've already done, the CX product is relatively new for them, like a couple of years, right? So they made some really great advancements, and I like what they showed here at this event to bring it up to par with what some other offerings are in market.
Yeah, and how about you, Mel? Any initial thoughts?
Yeah, I think, the AI receptionist, AIR, that was just announced last week, it was good to kind of see that in motion and also talk a little bit more about pricing strategy. Like everybody else, it's so new and nobody really knows how to price things, but I think Ring has gotten a handle on how to initially get it out there to customers, and customers seem to be really willing to pay for it. They see the value in it immediately. It's not a super complicated long-term ROI. They see an immediate ROI from it, and so I think seeing that and some of the integrations that they're having and some of the under NDA future integrations that we've seen are some of the really interesting things that we saw here.
Yeah, I think, for me, I think the platform stories come together nicely. I think they're catching up in CX. I think when I talk to the channel partners, there's still some areas that they're behind in reporting, some of the workforce management, things like that. They partner in some of those areas, but they also have the luxury. It's not like if you look at some of the competitors that have gone from UC to CC, they had to build it up because that's all they had to sell. Ring still has the advantage of selling nice when they need to, and then bringing Ring CX also.
And that product hits well in that SMB market. And going back to the AIR product, AI receptionist, it's actually a really great feature that hedges between their EX experience and their CX experience, right? You've got call routing built in there. You've got some intelligence that help answer upfront questions that can actually be agentless in the process too. So yeah. I think it's the right path.
The thing I like about AIR is that it's a low-risk way to try a virtual agent, right? It's if it screws up and it gives somebody the wrong, opening hours or whatever, it's not going to be. It's not the same as making a mistake with a mortgage application or something like that, right? And so I know you actually you like the AIR app quite a bit, or the AIR functionality.
Yeah, I think with AIR, it's not just about with so many of the things that we're talking about with AI. It's like the productivity stuff, the workflow automation. This is more than that because it actually opens up opportunities for revenue streams. Where if that person wasn't answering a call before, the AI receptionist can actually answer the call, book an appointment. That's a revenue opportunity that could have been missed with a missed call. So these are really kind of simple solutions, and like you said, the risk is low, and even giving the wrong directions or the wrong hours or something like that is highly unlikely because it's very programmable and it's really simple to do. So as we saw in the demo, it's like you can either upload a PDF or insert the information or from the website. As long as you give it the accurate information, it's likely to spit out the accurate information back. But I think it's those additional things that's like that one extra shift that you didn't have that could answer phone calls, that can book appointments, like the dentist office, whatever. These are upsell opportunities, appointment opportunities that open up to maybe didn't exist before.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. So we're just coming off of the earnings call. Yeah, you weren't expecting this here. But in terms of that quarterly earnings update and then what they showed with their goal going around their 100 million ARR, how do you think they're on track to that right now?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's a pretty conservative goal. And the 100 million ARR is for new products, which is CX plus events plus webinar, things like that. It's actually smaller than I thought as a percentage of overall business. They're 2.5 billion a year revenue company. You take 100 million of that, that's under 5%, right? So it's a pretty small piece of the business. I would think with just mediocre execution, they should be able to hit that number. Vlad kind of joked about it. He said, we're going to hit that number. And I do wonder, though, are the customers ready for this? When I listen to the earnings call and I see, all the CEOs talking about how the AI is going to create this great wave of innovation, but yet Zoom took the guided conservatively, NICE guided conservatively, RingCentral guided conservatively. That lends me to believe that 2025 isn't going to be the year of AI. It might be the year of AI kicking the tires, but we're still probably looking at 26, 27 as the year that it acts as an accelerant to really create the second act for a lot of these companies.
It could be. I'll add, though, to this. I do believe that CX is the opportunity, low-hanging fruit opportunity for ROI. So if a CEO goes to their CIO or CTO and says, what's our AI, do an initiative and show me an ROI on that, that's something where around contact center or, even air, which might be actually upskilling somebody from just being a phone receptionist to doing some other stuff, they can probably create some tangible ROI to those elements.
So is that because I can do what I'm doing today cheaper by cutting agents, or is it because I'm going to keep my headcount the same and change that part of the business and drive more revenue?
Well, that's true. I mean, whatever people do, different clients are going to do different things with that freed up time from the productivity gains. They could let more people go, or they could have less agents. They could have those agents be applied to other calls, increase volume. But it's something measurable, at least, I think.
Yeah. Now, Mel, you're the future work analyst, right? The majority of Ring's revenue still comes from the UC side. How do you think that's positioned? When I look at all the vendors, they all kind of seem the same, right? And I do think Ring's got a good historical base in voice and things like that. But where are we in future work and the role UC plays, and how differentiated do you think Ring is?
Obviously, Ring has a really long history in voice, and I think I kind of joke in a way that voice is back. And in some ways, it sort of did go away. Everybody was like multi-channel, because nobody wanted to make a phone call. But the reality is that there are still people who want to pick up a phone and talk to a person, or maybe an AI, if that AI is realistic enough. But there is so much value in that voice data that hasn't been extracted so far. And I think Ring has a really great opportunity with all of the AI capabilities to extract that unstructured data from voice communications that is a huge untapped reality in UC so far, that they can really turn that into really great insights, data that will drive other decision making across the enterprise. And so people will kind of, I think, come back to the realization that there is so much value in that really reliable voice channel.
Craig, from your historical research coverage, is what Ring has in UC enough because they don't really have a meeting rooms play, right? That's a big part of future work as well. There are companies bringing people back to the office, and how do you see that, affecting their ability to compete in UC?
I think they recognize that. We had a chance, all three of us, to speak to Kristen Koenig, who came over from the Hopin acquisition as an executive. She's actually taken charge of the entire video portfolio, including meetings, including rooms. And as she's doing that analysis right now, I do think they realize their gaps, and there's potential then for create that investment to catch back up. Now their challenge is they're always going to be a small player. So a key thing they need to focus on is interoperability into the larger platforms as well, like Microsoft Teams, into Zoom and what have you. But when someone's in a Ring environment, to give as good of a Ring experience as it could on video. So it completes the story. It makes stickiness. I don't think it's going to be the huge revenue driver.
Well, it isn't for any of the vendors either.
But they have to close that some of those key things like interoperability. I think it's on the horizon.
Yeah, and I like Mel's point on voices. Voices back in a way because I think through the COVID wave, everybody went to all video all the time, and as Chambers used to say, video would be the new voice, and I'd argue that with agentic AI coming and AI agents, we're going to shift a lot of what we did through text now to voice. I think we'll start interacting with more devices through voice as well. And so if video became the new voice, voice became the new text, right?
It's going to be the new...
so much data available through it now, right, that we didn't have before. And I think also going back to events that Craig brought up, I think, it's a small piece and it's small compared to the large RingCentral. But if you were to look at RingCentral's events platform and now including video in that, if you were to look at that as like its own little business, its own startup, it would be significant. They're making some big moves in that. They're really creating like some, like I said, integrations, big announcements coming up, actually really focusing on the needs of the customer beyond just doing webinars and events, but actually what else do we need video for? How are we going to build that into our platform, make it easy for somebody to communicate through video and small clips, whether it's social, whether it's podcasts, things that like of that nature. That opens up a big opportunity for them that I think is sort of in the shadows a bit because it's such a small piece of the large RingCentral story. But if you were to look at it as if it was just, it was Hopin and now it's its own, RingCentral Events could be a fairly large piece of the business, not percentage-wise, but it's important. I think it's an important part of the growing business.
I agree. I mean, I can't say any better, except for they kind of hinted and showed us some things that we can't share yet. So just keep your eyes open.
What's interesting about the events business, though, is a lot of ways you can tie that to the rest of the like when I think about from a lead gen perspective, how do you drive leads? Well, you do webinars, right? Then you capture those leads and you feed them into your CX platform, right? And and then you qualify them and you use that's become a big lead gen source. And so
customer support.
Yeah, and so having those tied together does make some sense. I just don't think, for the most part, Zoom has an events platform, Cisco's got an events platform. No one's really thought about how to tie that together with the rest of the kind of UC/CC suite. It's been treated. Now, part of it is the buyers are different.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's right.
But I do think over time you may see that move more IT.
Well, I think what they did with their recent release of a feature they call Studio, they're doing something else that I saw a lot of when I was just recently in ISC, is that people are taking these broadcast level elements and making them more accessible to everyone in the enterprise. So Studio feeds into what Mel talked about. Now you can do a clip out to your team. You can do information out to an all hands, but do it as asynchronous video, stuff like that. So they're investing in the right area, which I think it can help them in the long run.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've been going for a bit, so let's wrap it up. Any closing that for me, I think. It was good to see the forward momentum. I still think, to your point, Mel, pricing's all over the place. Nobody really knows what to do with pricing. I do think, we will see a resurgence in voice, but I think we're really in kind of this weird spot of the industry where I think we can all, if we roll the clock ahead 10 years, the industry's going to look a lot different. People are going to have embraced AI. Getting there, though, I don't know, it might be a little lumpy along the way.
Yeah, I think there's going to be, a push-pull with AI in UC, right? Like everybody knows they need it. They don't really know how to start out with it. I think one of the strengths in the go-to-market strategy that we heard was like show customers what they can do with AI and how much that they can kind of extract from that, and then tell them they need a dial tone in order to use it. So those different sales motions, I think those are interesting. I also, just in general in the event, always appreciate having smaller events, direct access to the executive team, and some really great customers to talk to.
Yeah, and I'll close out with this, which I think you already talked to, which is they got a great opportunity to embrace voice first as a UC platform. They know it. They have a strong user base in that mid-sized to small customer base that's voice-centric still as a business. It's a telephone call to talk to my customers. If they run with that, that allows them to create their own unique space here in what you're calling is a non-growing UCC market, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's been that way for a while. I do think there's another wave of growth coming, and I will say, I know we're not ready for AI adoption broadly yet because there's still too many questions about ROI and use cases. It reminds you a lot of the early days of the internet when nobody really knew what to do with it, and then eventually we stopped asking about ROI because it's not like you could do your business without it. And I think eventually, we look at using AI as risky. We're going to move to the point where not using AI is riskier.
Yeah.
And so that's when we'll start to see the mass adoption.
Love it.
Yeah. So on behalf of Craig Durr and Melody Brue, I'm CS Caraval from ZK Research, and thanks for watching. Give us a like and hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on the next episode of ZKast. Thanks, guys.